Hey everyone, welcome to a new project of mine. So I need a break from my other map, not because I'm burnt out or anything, but simply because the commands I need to work on that map take a hell of a long time to write out, so I thought we'd work on something a bit different, a parkour puzzle map. So I present, welcome to insert title here. Yeah, no, that's not quite right. I'm not that great with titling, so I'll hold off for now. But essentially, we're here in the little tutorial section. And I think that's how I'm going to split this video up. So for any of you that are interested, the first half of this video is going to be me playing through the little tutorial, showing off the different mechanics I'm going to use to build the map. And then the second half will be going over the command blocks to show exactly how I made the features of the map. Anyway, we'll slowly walk through this corridor and we'll get different messages. So lesson 1, the floor is lava. Well, not quite, but it does clear your inventory and set your spawn. So if I walk off of these little red tiles, you can see I now have an item. If I walk back on, it gets deleted, and my spawn is set to the last glazed terracotta that I walked on. So it's very important, because that's essentially the reset system of the map. Okay, lesson 2, smoking kills. You'll find an item on your hotbar, take a look, don't blaze too hard. Do you get it? Because it's blaze powder. So this is the other half of the reset mechanic. We have this item, it's called feeling stuck. Drop, and step back to restart. So if I drop it out, we die. And of course we respawn on the glazed terracotta. So if you ever get stuck in a room, that's all you have to do is you just have to throw it out. I say the little step back because in order for it to not endlessly loop, if the player's on it, it won't work. Now I have 2. I should also hop into adventure mode just to make it a bit more specific. So now we can actually show off the map as it would be played. So lesson 3, click the button. In each room you'll find a button. Click it to get all the items you'll need to complete the room. So we click it. Lesson 4, double jump. In each room, sorry, I was reading the wrong one. This item in particular will allow you to double jump. Give it a try. So now that we have this little horn in our inventory that says double jump, we can double jump. So that's a previous mechanic that I came up with for my other map that I thought was quite a useful addition to this map. It makes parkouring a bit more diverse because it's no longer the same old jumps. You have to work on double jump jumps, for instance. Now, over here, we have something special, which is a secret. So, secret lesson, literally. There's a bunch of secret buttons around the map, see how many you can find. So, I'm not too sure if I'll keep the scoreboard system for the secrets. I might end up doing like a trophy room in the little hub before we actually start the actual puzzles. Either way, there'll be secrets. We should probably go back and move on. Not that I could jump that well. Okay, so onto the red glaze, everything gets reset, and we're onto another room. Another button to click. Lesson 5, skywalking. This item's even better. With it, you can stack jumps as long as you've got the correct timing. So we can continuously jump as long as we have this feather. But if you mess up on the timing, you do fall back through. So you do have to watch your health, and obviously now we can get up this wall if I can time it correctly, perfectly. So that took 1 extra jump than double jumping. Lesson 6, no jumping. So, some items can be placed into frames and walked on for an effect. Use it to sprint over gaps. So this room, not that you can really tell, I'm trying to jump, but you can't. Essentially, I just have a command block down there that's giving me jump boost in the negative value, so I can't jump. So, for those of you that didn't know, using a slab, you can actually walk over a 1 block gap. Just like that. For a 2 block gap though, not even sprinting will do the trick. You're just short. So, we've got this little sugar. Now, I've only given you 2 for a reason. There's 3 item frames. So, this is the first little trap. If you use one here, you'd have to restart. So, if we put one in here, as soon as we walk onto it, we're going to get speed. Now, if we sprint, we can walk across the 2 block gap. So, we can do that here. This one's a bit more tricky because it's diagonal. And I will probably put a secret off of that offshoot as well. Because you can actually sprint over 1 block gaps. As long as you have the correct timing. I think you have to line up just at the edge of the block. Nope, not quite. Probably going to take me a little bit to get to show off. There we go. So it's about the middle. If you're from the middle of a block, can I do it back? Yeah, you can sprint across. Of course, if you can time it right, I don't think I can get... No, I didn't put ladders here. You could use the speed boost to speed boost from this one, go on the diagonal, and then obviously run across quickly. Okay, now, this is the first really interesting one. So lesson 7, telepads. Now this item's a hoot. Place it in multiple frames to walk to the furthest one set up. So for instance, we've got 3 here. So if I put one here, here, and here, which item frame am I going to warp to if I walk on this one? Well, that's 2 blocks diagonal, and that's 5 blocks straight. So we should go to that one first. And we do. If I walk back on this one, we're over here. Of course, they're all deleted now, so I guess we'll have to restart. So all the item frames are cleared whenever you click the button, so that's also another restart mechanism. So exactly how am I meant to get over this wall? Well, if you jump, you can see. So I put one in here, and one here. And here we go. So if you walk on the red glazed terracotta, the item frame's also cleared. So all the rooms are like self-cleaning, makes it very useful for the idea I have, which is I want to make rooms where you go back and forth. So you might start low on one room, work your way up, go to the next one, work your way up higher, and then go back to that one and work your way to the middle or something like that. So obviously being able to clean up the rooms is going to be very important. Right, what do we have here? Lesson 8, bunny hops. This item will let you float. You can even stack it with a jump. If we walk onto the rabbit's foot, we can float. So we get levitation for a quick second. Now, this one is the right height. This one is not. So this is what I am alluding to here. If we put one in this item frame and we time it right, we can get up and onto this block that you normally wouldn't be able to. If you can't figure that out, you can obviously just take this exit. Ooh. So what's going on here? Lesson 9, bounce. Come on, I'm sure you can guess this one, and I'm sure you guys can too. So if I put this in here and I walk onto it, what do you think is going to happen, given the height of this room? Yeah. Oh, did I forget to mention, it's a dropper. So I mistimed that. I was talking too much. Right, we're back here. So that's the other aspect. Hence why I'm saying parkour and puzzle. It's not just going to be parkour. It's going to be droppers, and I hit the block, didn't I? Let me land in the water. Okay, so you need to be centered. We don't actually need to be centered because I left a line. Should be fine now? No, I'm too far forward. I might need to clean that up a bit. You don't bounce your head. Thank you. And then I need to make it into the hole. And lucky last. This room looks a hell of a lot more complex, doesn't it? So let's click the button and see what it says. Lesson 10, puzzle time. Some more warping with a difference. These now teleport you to the closest. So rather than the furthest, like the ender pearls, the chorus fruit in an item frame will teleport you to the closest frame. Obviously, the goal is to get to the middle because that's the exit. So I have one item frame there I can put into. I can put one in here. Looks like I can put one over there. So if we start here, where exactly am I putting the next one? Well, I could put it... No, we'll continue around so I can showcase this properly. We've got an item frame here. I can only place it in. I can't get to it otherwise. If we walk on this, we're going to teleport to that one. So we fall through the powdered snow, and the powdered snow is here to make sure we can't actually clear this item frame. Because we didn't actually use it, it's still there. We're going to teleport to it. So that means if I put one in here, I'm now in a loop. We want to get into this room, so I can put one here. If I can aim it right. Is your reach higher in creative? I think I struggled with this before. I bet you it is. Okay, so I do have to fix that up. But until I do, we'll play it out in creative. So if I put one there and then I put one here, I want to go there, but sadly I'm not. So I need to figure out how to get there without. So we can put one here and one here. Now we're back to the start. Except I walked off like a dum-dum. There we go. Okay, so then the last step is yeah. And here we are, home safe. So that's obviously a very simplified one. Well, I should say very. It's a simplified version of what's going to be in the actual map. So starting from here, this is going to be the hub, and then you're going to have 2 paths you can pick from. And then I'm probably going to do a, I don't know, 9x9, or maybe a 3x3, and just do different towers where you're working yourself around, trying to get to the center. I think that's a decent idea for how I want to do it. So yeah, so we'll have several different rooms. We'll have jumping rooms using double jump. We'll have skywalking rooms, which will check, what's it called? Being frame perfect, because you have to jump specifically at the right intervals. Then we have the teleporter rooms, both furthest and shortest, which I can build puzzles out of. We have the slime block dropper rooms and the bunny hop floating rooms. And of course, the great thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix and match. So rooms will make use of one, if not all, of the different effects, which will create quite the puzzles, I hope. Should be interesting. would be fun to build. Puzzles, a bit harder. Took me a couple hours to figure out that shortest distance puzzle, and that's a simplified one. I want much more difficult. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for the tutorial, so I guess I'm going to go over the command blocks now for anyone who's interested. Okay, so where to start? Well, this is the double jump and skywalking system, and I have another video on it, so I'm going to do the whole shameless plug thing. If you want to see how to make double jumping in vanilla with commands, go check that out. Sorry. So then these ones are the item frames. So they're very simple. All we're doing is detecting an item frame, giving the player an effect, giving the player a tag, and then giving the tag player an effect. So in this case, it's teleporting. In this case, it's also teleporting, but to the shortest. This one will be speed. This one will be levitation. And this one is levitation to the extreme, which is this slime block. So it is a simple mechanism to set up, and we'll just go through one of them since they all generally overlap. So in the little chat box, we have execute if score at P cooldown matches 1. So because this is such a smaller map compared to my other one, I'm not afraid to use repeating and chain command blocks with timer systems. So we're using a different mechanism to essentially create a 1 second delay? Yeah, I think it's a 1 second delay between when the player can activate the item frame again. That way the teleporting, for instance, doesn't instantly just go. That makes sense. So if score at P, the closest player, cooldown matches 1, it's going to tag the player as long as they're on the right item frame. So for instance, an item frame with a slime ball, it's going to tag the player L active, which I just did L for launch. The next step is to give said player the effect. So it's going to execute at any entity if they're on an item frame and they have the tag. It's going to give them levitation. Then here, we're clearing the item frame. So for this one, we're executing at the item frame as long as it has that tag, and we're removing the data. So data remove entity and this item.id. This selector parameter, you could change, just use distance ... 1 and limit it to 1 would be the same thing as just typing in what the item frame is housing again. After that, all we have to do is remove all the tags to clean up, and of course set the cooldown to -20, which makes it 1 second because 20 ticks in a second. So then this last little section is just the cooldowns for all of them. So it's just adding the dummy cooldown, constantly adding 1 to it, and capping it once it reaches 1, so it doesn't continuously count upwards. As for the other mechanisms like the glazed terracotta, they're these command blocks. So this one's a bit different. We're executing at any player if there's a block under them called red glazed terracotta in this case, and we're clearing the inventory. Then we're creating a chain effect that's going to set their spawn, and of course clear any items on the ground. So you can't get the items for a room, drop them all on the ground, restart, and then double up. Same with all the buttons. They have a clear mechanism, so they'll clear all the item frames and they'll clear the player's inventory as well as the ground, so that you can't go around just endlessly looping items. Okay, so this is another part of the red glazed terracotta. So this one is separate from the chain because we want it to run constantly. So as long as the player's on red glazed terracotta, it's going to clear any item frame near them. So if I grab out and glow item frame, we just use the blaze powder. It gets cleared straight away. Again, you can't load up all the different item frames in the room and then restart, double up on items, and essentially exploit the map. This one is just a safety thing, so all the players are constantly given saturation so that their health is topped off, and obviously they can sprint and run and not have to worry about food. This is the little blaze item, so any player who does not have the item, it's going to give them the item. And then this one's actually going to detect when they drop the item on the ground. So I had to use a distance clause so that the item isn't near the player. Otherwise, we create an endless loop as soon as we're giving the player the item. Because stupidly, the summon command and the give command are identical. So when you give an item to a player, you're not actually putting it straight into the inventory. You're essentially dropping it on their location, and that was the wrong item to showcase that with. But yeah, you're dropping it on their position rather than putting it in the inventory, meaning that our kill clause would detect it and kill the player, creating a awful loop that I had to cheat and edit the map to get out of, which was annoying because it reset some of my command blocks. But anyway, That was this one? Yeah. So then the last two are for the item frames, which I didn't actually show off. We grab out a glow item frame, put it down, and I'll hop into adventure mode again. So we can't destroy the item frame. So all the item frames that are in the map can't be altered or tampered with, which is obviously what you want. And then if there's an item with it, though, we can break the item out. So all we're doing is detecting when there is an item frame on the ground without an item, and it's setting it to invulnerable, and then when there is an item, it's setting it to non-invulnerable. So for instance, this one, execute at glow item frames that don't have an item. So this NBT question mark item count 1, then it's going to modify their data and set invulnerable to the value of 1. Counter to that, we're detecting any item frame with an item, so there's no exclamation mark now, and setting it to 0. And that's pretty much it to the map. Very simple for me, because all I had to do was set up these different command blocks, and now it's just about building levels. I don't have to worry too much about creating new mechanisms or writing out a whole bunch of commands. So it should be a fun little side project that I can work on while I need some time to write out some extra commands for my main map. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, hope you found it interesting, and I guess I will try and do progress updates. Otherwise, I'll just let you know when the map's out. See ya!